Here we are again.
Again, here we are.
Once more into the breach.
Into the breach we go. Is that how you get in the breach?
That's how you get in the breach. You dive in.
Everybody in the breach.
Everyone in the breach.
What is it? The breach? Is it a gun? Gun reference, isn't it?
Once more into the breach.
Is it something to do with the war, isn't it? Is it about...
You in the RAF, don't you know?
Yeah, I fucking washed cars, mate. Is it something to do with power washers and making cups of tea? Is it something to do with cocking your weapon? Is it something to put in a round into the breach of your weapon?
Yeah, into the breach.
Into the breach. Another round in.
Yeah, well, maybe it's one of them where that's what it technically, into the breach, but then it just became an expression.
I've never shot anyone, so I wouldn't know.
No, to be honest, we're the least. Well, I'm the least qualified person to talk about this sort of thing. If you know what into the breach and where that comes from, please let us know.
The only thing I took away from the Air Force was washing cars and ironing.
Ironing.
I'm good at ironing. Yeah, I enjoy a good iron.
Yeah,
I don't mind ironing.
I'm rubbish at it, but I secretly don't mind it. In the rare occasion I actually have to do it, Yeah, if I've got a wedding or something, and
it's not. It's therapeutic, isn't it? Ironing a shirt, getting all the creases out.
You don't have to get messy. You don't have to get,
It's a metaphor for life, isn't it?
It doesn't require any.
Whoa! Don't say skill.
No, I wasn't going to say skill at all because it's bloody hard to iron.
Let me tell you.
But yeah, you don't have to like roll your sleeves up and get,
Yeah, it's not difficult,
kind
is
of
it?
job, is it? It's kind of
it's not
like
grafting.
sit there listening to the music.
That being said, I remember when I was a kid, and I don't know if people really iron much anymore, but my mum used to iron everything. I used to sit there and she'd have like piles of ironing.
Yeah, the tea towels and everything.
Spend socks.
Yeah,
my dad's underpants.
Yeah, well, to be fair, they probably take a while.
They probably took about an hour each, to be honest. Yeah. Glad you said that.
Sorry,
not
Steve.
Me. Oh, my poor dad. Hey,
he won't argue with that though, will he?
He probably won't. No.
No,
you're right.
So yeah, here we go. We'll talk about ironing for the next.
Anyway, Oasis. Where do we start?
Hey,
we're not lighting that bonfire again. Fuck that.
No, we won't talk about. No, we won't talk about Oasis. We got a great response to last week's podcast talking about.
Play some good points.
Some great points. I did have to laugh though. In the Facebook post that we made about this, just sharing the podcast episode. The first sort of 40, 50 comments were like, can't stand Oasis, hate them, not rock music, not rock. They're just pricks, along them kind of lines. And then there was a comment saying like, who says all rock fans don't like? I think they meant it sincerely, as if to sort of say, well, I'm a rock fan and I like Oasis, but and kind of implying that we don't have a point.
Oh no. The point was not that all rock fans don't like him. It's just the there seems to be a wedge. It just seems to generally. I'm not saying all rock fans don't like him. I'm a rock fan and I like him, and loads of rock fans.
I think it's fair to say that they, more than many other bands, seem to invoke this knee-jerk negative reaction instantly. That's it.
That's the phrase.
That's it. It's like without any kind of other consideration. Oasis can't stand them.
Yeah.
I know close mates that have got that kind of opinion, and it's just like
strange, isn't it? I don't think he's got a whiny voice either. I don't get that. He's got a whiny voice. I think he's got a whiny voice.
I think he had a great voice, but he's a little bit not what it was, but
well, he's bloody 50-year-old, isn't he?
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, he's had
and he's a prick, so
yeah.
I mean, that's got a lot to do with it, hasn't it? His voice
sounds a bit like a balloon going down these days. A little bit. But yeah.
Anyway,
what we're going to talk about
that again.
We'll talk about something else.
What we're going to talk about this week is I mean, this is. I mean, I'm not saying it's dead, but is rock music dying? Is rock music dying? Let's be honest. I don't think it's dead. It's not dead. But is it dying? Does it do itself any favours? I.e., do bands do the genre any favours?
I see. Right. So from a band's,
well, yeah,
rather than a fan's point of view, From
Well, the bands arguably are in charge of the future of the music, aren't they? Surely they have to sell. They are the bands when it boils. Yeah, the fans have to like it to keep it alive and to buy it and to fund it. But the bands are the ones that create the product to sell, aren't they?
True.
So ultimately they are the ones that are sort of in charge of how it goes forward.
But it's also an open market, so it's there's plenty of music out there, and the kind of what's popular and where trends go and everything is down to the audience, isn't it? Really,
of course it is.
They're the ones that just dictate what's popular with taste at any given time.
I just feel that you look at rock music and you look at metal music. I know there are millions of bloody subgenres of metal and all sorts of stuff, and we're not going to go into that, for fuck's sake. Well, let's call it rock and metal. Metal to me, it just seems to have taken itself by the scruff of the neck and made itself. It just seems to have attracted a young audience. I think rock music does to a degree, but.
Right, so you like metal
bands. I know a lot of the metal bands aren't the same as the old school. I think there's a bit more of a divide between old school metal bands and the newer metal bands. And I know
some examples of newer metal bands.
Well, like Brim of the Horizon or Parkway Drive or
Architects
or whoever. And I know the vocal styles are very different, and that might put some people off. I don't mind it, but then you look at old bands like Carcass. And you can see the similarities in the vocal styles, but the Carcass would be considered an old school extreme metal band. It's just I don't think rock music in some ways has developed to appeal to a younger audience as much as. I mean, let's be honest, right? This is me. This might sound fucking totally stupid, right? But you could see a metal band going on stage now at a festival wearing and I know mate away from Korn did it, wearing a tracksuit, wearing whatever they want. Yeah, looking exactly the same as most of the crowd. You won't generally see a rock band going on stage. Not many anyway. That look like the guys in the crowd. Do you think rock bands keep it too retro too much?
Yeah, well. Certainly,
and look back.
There's this classic rock tag, isn't there? Which by definition is like old. Classic. It's like classic cars and classic. Whatever.
But I've never understood whether the phrase "classic rock" means is classic rock music before a certain time, or is classic rock a genre including like we could be a classic rock band. Are we not a classic rock band because we are not from before 1980?
Yeah.
I never know. I don't know. Is classic rock a type of music or is classic rock a times period?
See that I don't even think it can agree on that itself, I would say it's a style of music. I would say it encompasses a kind of sound.
Thunder Earth to me.
They're about as modern as classic rock can be. They're like the cut-off point, aren't they, really?
For me, it's somehow in my head, yeah.
Yeah.
If I think classic rock, I think Thunder, like.
But would you put Blackstone Cherry as classic rock?
Now there you go. No, maybe, I don't know.
Because they're definitely in that demographic.
Yeah.
If you're into classic rock, sort of as a general term, no one's going to bat an eyelid at Blackstone Cherry being... within labelled as that.
No.
And they started kicking about 15, 16 years ago, as far as I know. So, modern new band that are, I would say firmly planted in the classic rock thing. I would say it's a genre thing. I would say now it kind of has to be, really, because, well, I mean, the magazines and the festivals and everything, it doesn't purely rely on all the older, the old guard.
No.
They are ushering in the next lot. So.
Yeah, I mean, are there many rock bands that are really? I mean, you got to admit that metal bands, they do, or that side of it, they certainly do seem to be a lot more current or a lot more in touch, and there's a lot more of them around. It just seems a lot fresher to me. Maybe I'm talking about image because I mean the sounds haven't really changed a right lot, have they, over the years? Really.
No.
But the image side of things has changed a lot, and I just think a lot of metal bands have just kept a lot up to date or kept in touch with a younger demographic. And it's as a band you want to pick up fans, and I don't really care who they are or what age they are. But if everything needs to move forward, sooner or later you have to pick up people that are under a certain age, because before you know it, everyone's going to be dead.
Yeah, they're all gone, yeah.
Aren't they? As grim as that sounds, it's all right picking up fans that are 50, 60 years old, and that's amazing. They're the classic rockers that remember all the big bands from back in the day. But if the bands just keep picking up those fans, then sooner or later, rock music ain't going to be picking up any 15, 16-year-olds, is it?
No.
Like metal seems to be doing a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't... Certainly, like... going back to the original
Complex.
kind of question, like, is rock dying? You know, well, I would certainly say it's becoming more and more niche. Do you know what I mean? It's becoming more and more its sort of own thing that doesn't really integrate into mainstream, kind of, or very rarely. And when it does integrate into mainstream, classic rock fans don't like it. You know, last week's podcast episode, Oasis, they're a rock band.
Yeah,
But people don't like it.
Well, you look at
Muse, rock band.
Yeah,
I would say they're half and half.
It's a good point. Nice. I mean, they're a prime. They're probably the biggest example of a rock band that straddle the lot really, and they look cool. Their image is fucking. He's always pushing stuff forward, isn't he? Like whatever, everything to do with their show, their sound.
But they're all over the radio. But you know, I remember when Download. That's always the kind of, you know, the litmus test to whether a band's accepted or not. You know, and fair play.
How did we get on it then?
Well, no, but I mean, like putting bands like Biffy Clyro and Muse as headliners.
Yeah.
It's negative. It's so negative. You know, the reaction to that.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what do you require of a band then? It's almost like you require them to be a bit kind of marginalised. There's so much overlap between this what we were talking about last week and now, isn't there really? You know.
Yeah.
It what's popular in the mainstream. There's a tendency with rock fans to, and again, this is all generalisation. You know, it's all massive kind of sweeping statements. You know.
Yeah.
But you know, they're on the whole, a band like Muse are announced to headline Download, and it's met with, what are they doing headlining Download?
Biffy Clyro as well, man.
Well,
I saw no end of abuse for Biffy Clyro.
Yeah.
I have no idea why. Yeah, exactly. You're right. Yeah, it's strange, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know, there's just that kind of closed-minded. It's a little bit closed-minded, really. You know, what do you want from a band? They play rock. They do play rock music, and they're playing guitars, drums. It's loud. It's aggressive.
Yeah,
but it's popular.
Yeah, so it's not good.
so it's not good. No, I can't do that. They get played on Radio 1. Yeah, no, you can't do that.
Where this is all this pop shite. Where are all the guitars? Yeah, they've got guitars.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the right guitars, is it?
It's not. Yeah.
And he's not singing the right. And he's not he's not got a shorts on, and he doesn't look like a little boy.
Well, yeah.
It's not 1972 anymore.
Yeah, it's a strange thing, you know. And I think
it's tough.
And I think that it's kind of very unique to rock. You know, it's sometimes its own and its own worst enemy, really. You know.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to sort of explain it, but
I definitely feel like we did the pilot at Download, and there was a lot of metal bands on there. Like, I mean, we do try and make a conscious effort to keep things, to try and keep things like modern, don't we? To a certain degree. Well, we still remain sort of we have classic influences, but. Yeah, with like words and stuff and
references and production, you know,
which we do consciously try and keep things fresh and to try and attract a younger audience, if you like. Not that we're sort of dismissing anybody here, but you know, to push the genre forward, you have to get the next generation involved, don't you? You have to appeal to a.
And we do that by swearing lots.
Swearing a lot, yeah.
Kids love a bit of swearing.
It sounds a bit of a stupid thing to talk about and to say, but you know, we're here to discuss these things, aren't we? And this is what you think about as a band, you know.
Yeah, but all these sort of things are kind of, you know, you'd write a song and then you'd go and then you'd sort of make a few production decisions and a few lyric decisions, I imagine, to make it a little bit more kind of appealing to on a larger thing. You know, we don't go right. Let's write songs for the, you know, what the kids are like.
No, it's not like that. Google, what are the kids into these days?
Yeah.
No, you just no.
Well, turn it up with a. Well, I was going to say this bad example, really, but with a skateboard, you know, like, cap on, you know.
Oh dear. No, but I mean, it's we don't look specifically to classic bands for massive influence, do we? You know, like with a lot of lyric. Well, for me, it's lyrics especially. I did an interview with, I think it was German Metal Hammer, and somebody asked me, but I mentioned that some rock bands, it's just all about the devil and whiskey and strippers and all that stuff, and it's like, it's just a bit, it's just been done to death, and it's just cliche, and it's just like old hat. And then you wonder why the rock music, I think, is being switched off. It just doesn't relate to people. Like, you know, it just doesn't relate to people or connect to Oasis. Like, they connected to a generation because there was a connection. There's a connection there, wasn't there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The way they looked, the way they acted, the way they spoke.
Yeah.
Maybe not what they sang about because it's a lot of nonsense, isn't it? But,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
But it's an attitude as well, you know. There's something like, yeah, but there's something else to consider. It like, I think it was my dad that pointed this out. Really, that you know, people of that when they were sort of in their teens in the 70s and 80s, that was the music that connected to them. You know, in rock anyway, 70s rock bands, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin. Then into the 80s, you know, you got the sort of Iron Maidens and
Metallica,
Saxons and Metallica and whatever.
Later on,
And they're like, you know, that was them. That was what they connected to. But then they all have kids and like start, you know, doing the life thing, and they're in their 20s and whatever during the 90s, and inevitably you do lose touch of the scene. You know, it's not your scene anymore, is it?
No.
You're not in control of what is the next movement. And then something happens like grunge, and then you know the Britpop stuff. Yeah, but it's like, well, you're not in control of it anymore. It's not your generation. You know what I mean?
No, you're right.
And you know, it always has to move along. Music. People, that many people can't be wrong. You know, I mean, it doesn't happen by accident. It kind of does happen by accident.
You seem to find with bands, I do think about it. Like I read comment, a lot of it comes out. I say every fucking week, everything's about social media, and you just read things on social media these days, don't you? Pick that much information and that many points from people that everything goes in your head and think about it. You know, whereas before social media, you didn't, because nobody could tell you their opinion, so you didn't care. But things about people say about it's not original. It's just a bad example of an old redone bands, you know. And I think to myself, well, how do you make stuff original anymore? It's such a task, innit? There's only so many notes. Yeah. There are only so many instruments, and when you're a guitar band, there are even less instruments.
Yeah.
You know, sounds. You go down the pedals and sounds. I mean, I'll you got to admire bands that create original sounds and do original things.
Well, this is
because
why,
they're not going to appeal to many people.
This is why keyboards. This is where like keyboards and synths and that kind of stuff comes in, really, because it really does open up a complete new world to the sounds and the what your band is capable of doing. Yeah. But then when that happened in the 80s, and everyone was Van Halen was there like doing his jump like riff. And he's doing it on a bloody Moog or whatever, and it's like
on a keytar.
People that turned people, the purists off, you know. But that was the point when they became the biggest band in the world, you know.
Yeah. Maybe that's what we need.
We need a synth.
Need to get a keytar for Bowser. A synth player. That's what we need.
Yeah.
We need Graham from Carnforth.
He's amazing.
He's incredible, isn't he?
But yeah, we just. You know, so but even then, you're gonna piss off a lot of people. I think why rock rock fans are so it's almost like the best and the worst thing about them. You know, the best thing is that they'll get behind you. You know, hey, the best thing is, if you ask nicely, the best thing is they'll get behind you and stay behind you.
Yeah.
And really kind of, you know.
Oh yeah, they're with you forever. With you
for life. But then you also run the risk of, you know, mortally kind of wounding them if you don't go the way.
Right. Yeah.
You don't like.
They're like your nearest and dearest, aren't they? They take it personally, don't they?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Yeah. Which leads me to something else I was thinking about is bands that change genre from album to album. I mean, that's. Muse are an example of that, aren't they? Primal Scream are a big example of that. Yeah. Bands that are predominantly guitar bands, and then they go down the dance music route, or probably trying to stay original and probably trying to stay fresh and probably trying to do something different. You know, at the risk of alienating their fans. It's so difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got. I mean, I completely see why bands do it. I mean, they've got to stay interested in what they're doing. Muse, for example, are a band that consciously do that. You know, they're like, nah, we want to do this for the next album, and it might be radically different, and it might not work, but they've got the luxury of having this awesome back catalogue to fall out, and they're still going to sell stadiums out around the world. You know,
I suppose so. Yeah,
when you're a band at our level, you know, of the pond life end of the scale,
can't take such risks.
You've got to not that we particularly want to do that, but it's it's something always in your mind because fans, even we, you know, the way we've progressed album to album, we've lost people along the way, and they're not shy of telling you either. Nah, you started getting shit at
whatever album,
and it's like, okay, well, I don't mind. I really don't mind.
You've just got to accept that this is going to happen in a band. Yeah, it's going to happen.
It is going to happen.
But you have to keep to write your best music. You have to if you're not in a band, you wouldn't understand it maybe. But you have to keep it exciting and interesting for yourself in order to write the best music you can, or else you're just going to end up writing bad examples of the last album everyone liked.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Welcome to the World was the last best album. All right, well, we'll write a diluted version of that album again because we're not going to write that again. It's just going to be a poor example of that album, innit? If you keep trying to do the same thing, you have to keep it. You have to keep it exciting and interesting for yourself to write the best music, I think. And you do pick people up, and people do go. But I don't know whether they truly go, like, really.
I'm sure they do.
I'm sure they probably fucking do, to be honest.
But it's not really, that it's a small percentage. But my point was that, we haven't changed that much, but it's still, even that's enough to get them.
Jokes are the same.
The jokes are the same, but it's still the same. It's still enough for them to for some people to switch off of it, and
which is what I've always said. I think we've probably strayed miles off topic here. I can't remember what we started talking about here. Ironing. I've always thought, as long as you are an honest person and you're not fake in any way, then I think you can do a lot of what you like and do a lot more than you think, and as long as people connect with you and they know you're not some sort of shitbag or you're not fake
shitbag
or anything,
then that expression in a while.
Then you're all right. People I don't think I'm a shitbag. You know what I mean? As long as you're honest and you're writing honest music, sincere. That's
contrived. I mean, we've said this a few times. Being contrived. Now I think I can spot that, in bands, new and established bands, when they've come out with an album or new music, and it's just like, it's devoid of any kind of impulsive creativity. You know what I mean? This is all, let's stay in our lane. This worked last time. Let's do it again.
Exactly, yeah.
And you know what? That works from a business point of view. People don't buy the next AC/DC album to hear some, 7/8 jazz rhythms. They want to hear, although I would actually buy that. But they want
Phil Rudd at the back.
Yeah.
4/4.
They don't, they don't have to. They don't have to though. The bands like that have got the luxury of doing that. Yeah, well, I've always been a vocal. I am not a massive Iron Maiden fan. They just never clicked with me. I don't think they're rubbish or anything. I just don't get into them the way that a lot of bands, other bands, I do get into. But I will say this for them: they're always pushing things a little bit. You know what I mean? The latest album,
Senjutsu.
Yes, they did. They did a. They were pushing it a little bit. It's I kind of.
Admire that.
Respect that,
Yeah, I agree.
And there were a lot of, for the first time I noticed, a lot of Maiden fans going, it's not grabbed me right away, this one. You know what I mean? And it's like, good. Yeah, great.
Yeah, we're not doing the same old thing.
Galloping.
But like you said, they have the luxury of already having...
Yeah.
Which,
so what? They can flop with an album, but then it doesn't matter.
arguably Metallica have a couple of times, haven't they? What was the one with what was it called? The woman's name? It was about 4 albums.
Oh, the Lou Reed.
Yeah,
Lulu.
That's it. I haven't listened to it, to be honest.
That
face says it all.
Well, that's so different.
But I admired that. I haven't listened to it, and that just made me like them even more.
They clearly
I was like, they don't give a shit.
They don't give a shit.
They have done what they want. A fair play. I like that.
Yeah, but again, it's easy to do that when
you're massive.
When you've got guaranteed millions of ticket sales and
you can go back to playing
Creeping
Death.
Exactly, and So, but yeah, fine. I get that. I get why bands why they do that. Anyway, back to the original point. You know, I think rock isn't dying, but I do think it's like strangling itself a little bit sometimes. I think it like restricts. There's too many rules, you know, on what you can and cannot do, and still be called a rock band. Yeah, classic rock. You know, we're talking like
big hats and that.
Yeah, you need scarves, definitely scarves.
Scarves, big hats,
pointy shoes,
maybe a chain on your jeans.
Ooh, yes, I like that. That's always a good touch.
Whatever. Not there's anything wrong with that, but
arms folded.
I don't know if there's enough bands.
Brick wall.
I don't We've never done that before, have we? You'll have to insert a picture here of us doing that. Yeah. But there's anything wrong with that at all. I know some amazing bands that kind of do that kind of vibe, and they're amazing. But I just don't think there's enough bands just trying to do something different,
pushing things along a little bit.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
I mean, one band, probably one of the biggest brand new bands really in the last few years, Greta Van Fleet. I actually quite like their second album. I thought it was better than the first. And it's, to be honest, it sounded more like early Rush. They always get this kind of but then again, early Rush was just like Led Zeppelin with a shrieking girl. But I thought the second album was good, and I thought it genuinely it was like a mature kind of version of the first one. And it's like, obviously they are, you know, they're taking their influences so directly from a certain time, but they that second album they did somehow made it their own. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You know, there was none of this highway song, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's like, really, you know. Yeah,
it became them. Yeah. Well, it's kind of what we did on a much tinier scale. We got all our influences off that the way in our first album, didn't we? Fired it up a bit like that. Made that. And then started to find our feet a bit more and get our own sound, didn't we? But
then you see that. But then you see pictures of them now and the promo for the tour they've got coming up, and they're, you know, and it's like
something out of Mad Max, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's like a cross between Mad Max.
I was like, he's nicked my outfit.
Yeah, Mad Max and the lingerie section of a Next catalogue, something like that. It's like a weird blend of.
You got bands like Royal Republic. Oh, Royal Republic, you know, they're arguably a band that are pushing it forward. I think they're a rock band, aren't they? They're more of a disco rock band, really, aren't we? If we're going to drop into weird subgenres, but they're a massive band, aren't they? Yeah. With the image and their music, they are so good, Royal Republic, so good. But so I think they're pushing it forward. Bands like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
I would sum it up by just saying that it's not dying, but I think people do need to loosen up a little bit, because soon they're going to have no choice, because you know, a lot of the bands, a lot of the old guard, the originals, they are not going to be here.
No.
10 years time, there ain't going to be any of them. You know, so you know, Kiss might be on their 8th farewell
Keith Richards,
tour.
He'll still be alive, won't he?
Keith Richards will be, yeah, he'll still be a young man.
Yeah, he'll outlive us all, won't he?
But then, you know, like, there's also this kind of real short-term memory loss that, you know, bands, Motley Crue, look, they did their big farewell last tour ever, made a big deal of signing a contract, all this bullshit. Of course they didn't fucking do any of that. You know, it's all publicity. People flew from all around the world to come and to watch their final tour, you know, in America, their last show. We know people that went to watch them in LA, the Forum or whatever it was.
I didn't go.
And it's like, here they are again, already, you know.
It's been about a year.
5-6 years later. And it's like, they were always going to do this. And at the time when they announced it back, people are slagging them off. Yeah, they're playing stadiums full of people.
Yeah, Monday night they were playing a stadium, weren't they? With Def Leppard now, aren't they?
Unreal. You know, people, just hold these people to account if you're going to moan.
Get them up in court. You signed a contract.
I'm not saying they're wrong to do it or anything, because the demand is there. But what the point is that people like a good whinge and like a good moan, but really,
that's what you're here for.
You just like music.
To listen to us whinge and moan.
You just like music, really. And yeah.
What's this? Pavlov's dog? Is that what they call it? No.
Pavlov's dog.
I don't know. It's just a saying.
Mixing your metaphors up.
Oh, I don't know.
We'll burn that bridge when we come to it.
All right. Anyway, we're
going to wind it up.
It's been good.
Just let us know your thoughts on the comments.
Don't swear or give us too much.
Is rock dead?
I'm pretty touchy.
Let us know.
See you later.
beastly